Hi, Giovanna. Welcome to the Creator Empires podcast. Yeah, it's good to have you here. I mean, we briefly met, or we met, well, not really briefly, but we met at the Teachable event last year, beginning of this year in London, right?
November last year.
Yeah, so got to know you there through I think we got an introduction before that from our Brazilian friends, Rob and Virginia from Speaking Brazilian, but now we're here. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I know so many members of your community. I actually just spent last week with them. It's a pleasure to be with you now. And a shame that you didn't get to go to our Rome event.
Yeah, pity I wasn't there. Well, we have more. I think you guys are going to do more events in the future, and
we too. Sure.
So sure there's going to be another opportunity. So we usually talk to creators, right? People with an audience. I think it will be. I was looking forward to this call because you guys offer a slightly different perspective on the world of selling online education, right? You guys work with the creators. You have a platform. You have so much data. You see what's working. You see what people are talking about, what they're concerned about. So yeah, I thought that was going to be an interesting angle for this call. So my first question is that the world of online education is changing fast, right? Especially now with AI. What have you noticed? What has changed and what hasn't changed? Like, what are the conversations about nowadays?
Sure. So I'm representing Teachable today. I think you're going to have that on the description, but Teachable is very strong in the tech niches, aside from others. So we have a lot of health practitioners, we have a lot of language creators, a lot of finance as well. But tech's definitely one of the biggest niches for us. And especially at the beginning of this year, we noticed a significant pattern change when it comes to especially tech creators, but I think it affected across the board. Of course, some change started a couple years ago as ChatGPT was introduced, and so the way people started to do their marketing assets, their campaigns, or even manage their business started to change back then. What we noticed this year, especially with some of the evolution of Claude and so, is that it affected more deeply the learning elements and at times the need to learn something. So I think this year, and again, particularly in the tech niches, at first we saw a substitution of people like moving attention from creators and courses and starting to seek knowledge directly from those platforms, from LLMs and being coached via those. But that didn't really quite last long. And now we're seeing a rebound and even a stronger rebound of the tech space. And that applies to other niches as well. So I think people are realizing that actually a bot doesn't go so long when it comes to teaching you a new skill or really empower you to do something different and have a lasting impact. And they're craving more of this human connection, of tapping into the creator's expertise and experience. So we're seeing the emergence of new formats, more human, more connected with the creator's surroundings. So I'm thinking coaching sessions, live sessions, communities, and really elements that double down on this human connection and the things that a bot or one of those platforms, Claude, ChatGPT, cannot really replicate. But I think it would be oblivious on my side to say that AI hasn't quite changed things. It's not true. We're seeing all business managers and ultimately creators are business managers, right? I think they're some of the most intrepid business owners that exist. Everybody's rethinking their businesses and dynamics, how you go about flows, how you generate a lead, how you reach that lead, how you qualify it, have a sales talk, how you automate processes internally. So all that change is happening. And I think we're all learning together as we go.
Yeah. And I remember at the beginning, like when GPT was just released 2 years ago, there were lots of speculations, right? It's like, oh, people not going to buy courses anymore because they can just get all the information, customized information from the LLMs. So you're saying that we've seen kind of a bounce back from that fear. People play with that for a while, but in the end, turns out they still want to learn with a real human being.
Absolutely. And I think as a society, we're going through a fundamental change. I wasn't working when Microsoft launched Microsoft Office, but I expect that to be a similar size change, you know? So there's a whole new set of tools and expectations for the new professionals that we all need to get re-educated on. So if
Yeah,
you're a marketer, you need to learn a new set of tools, a new set of flows and processes. If you're a doctor as well, if you're a finance professional as well, if you're a tech person, needless to say. So I think pretty much every profession is now craving a new set of uh, learning and education that's not quite available, or at least at the speed or scale that we need in formal institutions so much. So I'm
yeah,
seeing creators
yeah,
now almost charting the path and taking more protagonism over this new wave of
yeah.
learning.
Yeah, like I guess AI itself is an example, right? Like if you want to learn AI, you can go to university, but then by the time you finish university, like the
Exactly.
technology is already outdated, right? So I
Exactly.
can see how there's a like this opportunity window for because we can't for small schools basically, right? Because
Yeah.
universities can't build a 4-year program in a month.
No.
Um, and now whenever there's something new out, like someone like a small team or maybe just an individual can do a deep dive, learn everything about it, create a course on it, and launch it immediately. And yeah, that course maybe it's going to be outdated in a few months from now, but then they can
Yeah.
create something new, right? Or
For
maybe
sure.
it's a membership that's consistently being updated. Yeah, I never thought about that. That's an interesting.
How did you go about your AI learnings? Because I know you have quite a cool app, and so how did
Yeah,
you gain knowledge?
how we learn about AI?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just learn as we go. I mean,
See?
there's no like I was talking to my girlfriend the other day, and she was like, "Yeah, I think I would like to study. Maybe I want to go back to university." I said, "Well, what do you want to learn?" "Yeah, I want to learn
Yeah.
this." I said, "Well, then just go to Claude or GPT and just start talking to it and be curious and ask the right questions and just start implementing the skill and learn as you go." Um, I
Exactly.
know
I
it's not
think
for everyone. I think some people like going to, I don't know, taking courses and doing universities, but I feel like I mean, if there's someone out there who has built exactly the thing that I want to build, and I know I can learn from, then for sure I buy that course,
sure.
right? But I didn't really see how that. I didn't really watch YouTube videos on. Yeah, it's just I learn from colleagues as well, right? Like everybody on
Yeah.
the team does their own research, they share it with the team, and then we
It's
just
mostly curiosity sparked play,
yeah.
curiosity sparked journey.
Yeah, I think some people like going to university, some like working with coaches, or like buying courses, and then there is also a bunch of people who just go out there and learn stuff by themselves. I mean, I've worked with coaches in the past as well, so I'm not
Yeah.
entirely, but yeah.
Something that
So
I've
let me, yeah,
noticed in courses recently is that
yeah,
I think it's fair to say that information is becoming a commodity, right? To your point, like
yeah,
you can Google, search on YouTube, search on any of those LLMs, and you're gonna find information. I think the difference between a more structured course or a university and so is first curation. Then I think there's
yeah,
elements about the human relationship that you cannot really replicate in as you
yeah,
set your own pace. So
yeah,
things like accountability,
yeah,
validation, if you're doing the right thing or the right pace, and so I think those elements are becoming much more evident and important in the learning journey as opposed
yeah,
to the information itself.
yeah,
So the more creators can adapt to provide those elements and tackle those, I think that becomes a differentiator
yeah.
versus AI to your original question.
Yeah, and also has to do with trust, right? Like if I want to learn, I don't know, I want to become a lawyer. I will want to learn from someone who's been a lawyer for 25 years or someone
Exactly.
who's won 100 court cases or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can ask GPT, and I use GPT a lot for legal stuff. But in the end, I want a lawyer to just say that everything is okay, or maybe make some changes, or
What's
maybe have some.
proved, what's not proved. how things are in reality versus the textbook, and so.
Yeah, you still want some hand holding. So I think that trust. How much can people trust LLMs? I mean, if it's just like something casual, you can trust it, right? But like if your career is at stake, or if you have a lawsuit, or if you're building a company, like you want to make sure that you're learning from the right person, and that LLM doesn't have experience.
For sure.
Um,
We like to say that it takes 1 year to build 1 year of experience.
yeah,
And really, like, as you buy a course or you reach out to one of those creators, you're not only buying access to information, you're buying access to
yeah,
that experience, to
yeah,
like the tips and tricks that only the person who has lived experience can pass along to you.
yeah. And then before we started this recording, you said like we were gossiping a bit about the language creators, right? You said
Right.
we like yeah they shared so much information with each other, and they're all very supportive. They're helping each other out, and I think they're the same thing. Like I think those guys know that people like we have a lot of Italian teachers in our community, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, one could say it's very competitive, but I think most of them are just thinking, yeah, all our students want to learn Italian, but someone prefers me, and someone else prefers my colleague, right? And
Exactly.
and is there competition? Yeah, maybe there's some overlap, but in the end, people still want to learn from not just from humans, but also humans who are like them, or that they trust, or that they
For
like.
sure. They're buying a personality and not just the content itself. Because if it was about the content, they could buy a textbook, like one of those A1, A2, B1, B2, and they could figure that out. I think
Yeah,
it's also feeling like belonging to a certain community, and we
yeah,
see that
belonging. Yeah,
very often with language creators. I think your network's a phenomenal example of that, of how they really create this family vibes and community vibes with their audience, and at times they
yeah.
do offsites together, or they do trips, they do masterminds, and so I think it's a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and then one more thing that I would like to add to that is that students or customers or whatever you want to call them, fans, kind of vote with their money, right? So like if someone has been watching your videos for a year and they've learned so much, and they're finally going to release something, they're like, yeah, I need to buy this course, even if I'm not going to use it. I just want to have it.
Yeah,
It feels right. Like it
to
took so much
recognize the
investment.
value that this person has provided me.
Yeah, and these are all things like yeah, you're not going to send $100 to OpenAI as
Sure,
a tip, right? It's
sure.
okay. Well, yeah, we covered some interesting stuff there. So what about the model then? Because 10 years ago, you could still sell just ebooks, right? And then we kind
Mhm.
of made the transition from ebooks to video courses, and then now we see lots of people focusing on coaching, a community. Um, is that a clear trend, or is like are just self-study courses dead? I mean, that's the word that works good in headlines, right? Or do we really need to think about offering um, a live element?
I don't think they're dead by no means. We see that in our data. I think definitely the same way demand is going through a revolution, supply is going through a similar sized revolution, right? So we definitely see a lot more varied offerings. So at times the person used to have a single self-paced course. Now they diversify that course into an entry offer, an encore offer, and at times like a very custom one-on-one almost course or coaching session. So different price points, at times different formats, so access to a community or like cohorted based courses paired with self-paced. So I think formats are becoming way more plural, and it honestly depends not only on your niche, but also your style. I think to our earlier point, right? People are buying access to your personality and what's true for you, and by consequence for them. So I would definitely not recommend a one size fits all, because I generally don't think that's the
Yeah,
case. I think it depends on what you feel more comfortable doing, and now technology is available to make a single piece of content, like multiplied in as many formats as possible. So you can almost take the same raw material and reproduce it in different ways, which is like a big elimination of historical hurdle. So that's why I think formats are becoming even more plural. But I would go back to what's true for you. What do you believe in?
Yeah.
And then explore opportunities at that area. I think something else that we're noticing, definitely there's a common pattern on people doubling down on further access to their personality. So whether that's via coaching or
Yeah.
an in-person event or something along those lines, I think that's a common pattern. And people now exploring other demand spaces. While in the past they would go a lot more B2C, so selling direct to
Yeah.
a consumer, to our earlier point around formal institutions not necessarily being able to catch up with recent knowledge, we're seeing creators now selling to formal institutions, selling
Yeah.
to enterprises, and
Yeah.
navigating like this whole B2B path that
Mm.
for us didn't seem quite obvious, and they're almost
Yeah.
charting their the path there.
Yeah.
And of course, as Teachable, we try to accompany that, and now we've been developing features to meet them
Yeah.
where they already are. They're already doing that.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few creators in our community that started doing high ticket, right? So
Mm-hmm.
basically selling one-on-one coaching. They
Right.
sometimes they deliver it themselves. Sometimes they hire coaches who deliver it for them. Group coaching is another one. And we're seeing mixed results. I think for some of them it's working well. Others still going quite well, but they also have to do the coaching themselves, right? So,
I see.
um, and another one is I can't really. I mean, we run events ourselves, right? And we
Yeah.
have like a few. Stefano was on the podcast. Teacher Learn Italian with teacher Stefano, right? He does retreats, for example. I think he does quite a few actually every year. We have Brenda from Ola Spanish who does multiple trips per year, language immersion trips like in Argentina, are in Spain. I don't think it's for everyone, right? Because it's kind of a responsibility. Like you need to host
Right.
12, 20 people, make sure they don't fight. um, yeah, make sure to keep them happy. But yeah, I find it really interesting to see how people are kind of diversifying within their own business, right? Not just offer digital assets, but also live elements or coaching. And the good thing about it is that, like for these live events, and I see you guys are doing the same thing,
Right.
you can turn it into content, right? And I don't know, just improve the brand, like make it something cool. Like we're not
Yeah.
a nerdy tech platform. No, we're actually a community with real people.
Right.
Because when technology or the value of knowledge goes to zero, or the value of software, that's where distribution and proof matters even more, right? And those are all things
For
that you can
sure.
create by doing
For
all the
sure.
things.
Those are going to be the winning creators in the future, for sure. But I think the examples
Yeah,
that you gave were incredible because ultimately, and I've met them, I know it's true
yeah,
for them. Like, it cannot be a drain of energy for them. If it's not
yeah,
real, it's not
yeah,
authentic. People pick that up. And
yeah,
and then it doesn't really sustain and hold up in the future. So I think I would explore like the things that can elevate your brand, that allow you to explore different ticket sizes, that allow you to give people more access to your personality, but things that are not a complete drain of energy for you. Otherwise, it doesn't really work.
yeah,
To give some other examples, like still in the Italian space, we had another customer last week in Rome, and she was saying she does those retreats as well. But something she's been exploring is every Sunday, I think it was. She's quite a foodie and she enjoys wine, and so she's been hosting a live session with an Italian sommelier tasting, sorry, wines and then discussing in Italian the quality of wine. And so it's something that doesn't seem super obvious because you're not really talking about verbs and conjugation and specific vocabulary on Italian, but rather offering people an experience where they can connect, learn something that wasn't really on their radar most probably, and allowing
Yeah.
them to come together and befriend.
Yeah. So it's almost like we have to now with what with all this new technology that we either have to go superhuman, right? So
Yeah,
make it a highly personalized human experience, and then you can also go the other extreme and then say, okay, if there is AI, why don't we just create something with AI, right? So
right.
for example, use AI to like we've been using, especially Claude, to create new challenges. So speaking
Mm-hmm.
challenges, right? So you're learning
Mm-hmm.
a language, um, and now you can very easily create content. Let's say a question of the day, right? So every day the user receives a question, and then there is an example of how they can answer that question. There's some grammar breakdown, and you can like GPT can do, or not even just
Sure.
GPT, but like any LLM can create all that content, can do the breakdown, the vocabulary relays, the grammar rules, and now we say, okay, now you go, now you've learned this thing, now go and practice with AI, right? So then we provide them our language app, um, and that seems to work as well because we can launch like so many new challenges every month.
For sure.
Last month we launched 6 at the same time. I think we can even do more, and this is something that we could not do before AI,
Yeah.
right? So before AI, the more AI, the more content out there, the higher the demand for human help, and the more content or more technology out there, the easier we can create new stuff. The easier we can create sales pages, checkout pages, email automations,
For sure.
welcome sequences, and all of that. So
Yeah,
kind
we
of
tend
go,
to
yeah,
think of
both ways.
AI as an enemy, but it's not necessarily, right? I think it can be quite an
Yeah,
ally to put yourself at scale and cover the parts of the business where you're not so strong at or you're not so necessary, right? So of course I need Jan to be on camera talking to me and so,
yeah,
but I don't need Jan to do a follow-up email to like make sure my billing is on track. Like, no.
yeah,
I think we
yeah,
can put automations to run that and reserve your time for things where you actually matter the most.
yeah,
And also deliver a personalized experience at scale, right? So the example that
yeah,
you gave on quiz and interrogating people on pronunciation, testing pronunciation at scale,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
on,
yeah,
something that we wouldn't be possible otherwise. And now you can do your app. We try to do similarly with our quizzes now, where we
yeah,
process automatically the content that's on videos and we suggest a couple versions of the quiz.
yeah.
So there's lots of cool applications as well. It's not just uh, an enemy.
Yeah, I'm very curious about applications like AI applications in businesses. I can give a few examples of what we've been doing and people in our community. So I was just talking, I just mentioned those challenges, right? And
Yep.
we offer a community aspect that comes with those challenges, and people are extremely active in those WhatsApp groups. And every day we just have our customer support. It just copies all the messages in GPT and say, okay, which one should I answer to? And it's
I
extremely accurate. So instead of and we can reply really fast.
yeah.
Um, I
Have you been
think.
using that to think evolutions of your offer too? I think that's another good one, like seeing the most common questions and where people
Oh
stop.
yeah, for sure. No, so
Yeah.
what we do is we at the end of the month we go to our sales page. I upload all the sales copy into Claude. I say, okay, here is the original sales copy. Here is the feedback, and here are the questions that our users have. How can we improve our sales copy? So then we
Right.
address all those questions or comments, or maybe we turn some of the comments into testimonials, and we add them to the sales page. We do
Perfect.
that every month, and it just gets better and better every month, almost automatically.
Yeah.
And before that, you had to, and this not just from the WhatsApp communities, but also customer support emails. Um, yeah, well, I think that's probably 80%.
Yeah. And if you put that flow even further, like you could use automatic feedback and have that automatically generate new content or slice your content differently
Yeah.
to cater to the need that people are manifesting or adopt pricing points and so
Mm.
um
Uh, that-
yeah, I think that there's quite interesting opportunities for sure.
Yeah, I think for creators, I mean, I don't know all the like the typical Teachable creator, but like the people that I know that aren't Teachable, they're all the language guy. Let me just call them the language guys, the langpreneurs. They
Langpreneur,
really
I love
like
that.
teaching.
Yeah,
They like teaching. They like creating the courses, and they really care about like it needs to be
right,
good, it needs to be precise.
right.
Um, and then I have to say that most of them are quite entrepreneurial as well. Would like to do things by themselves. And then always felt like copywriting is something that was holding them back, right? Like how do you write a good sales page? How do you write a good email sequence? How do you write a good welcome sequence? How do you
Yeah,
like write a good upsells page? And before that, that was always recommending people to read books about copywriting and all of that. And it's probably still a good idea. But
sure.
nowadays, when I have to write sales copy myself, I just ask Claude to interview me about the product, and I just tell it everything it needs to know, right? Like, why do you create this product? What is the problem that you're solving? Why is it
Yeah,
working? Why are you the ones? It's all those typical questions that you answer on a sales page, and then it just comes up with a draft, and usually it's pretty good.
yeah,
And then you say, okay, now I want to have it. I want to toggle on the website and want it in Spanish as
sure.
well, and like takes what like 30 seconds.
Exactly.
Um,
And you can also keep it iterative so they see like the click-through rates, how it's performing sales-wise, and improves as you go, right? Which is something that you'd manually need to analyze and carry over.
yeah.
So I think there's quite cool things that we could do.
Yeah, so I think like creator businesses are typically quite small, right? I think now you can even do more with small teams or even as a solo creator.
Right.
But I saw that with Teachable, you guys often like I saw that you guys are running a bunch of workshops and live trainings. Well, what are those about?
You mean the AI Academy or like the
Yes,
event that we
yes,
did in
yeah,
Rome
okay.
last week or both?
I
I
guess
think
both. Tell us about both.
both awesome. So Teachable very much believes in education. As I said earlier, I definitely almost personally believe that we're going through a society change where people need to learn a whole new set of skills, right? So we want to be there for you and really help us all chart that new path. So we have such phenomenal people on the platform whose content I admire so much. And they, at times, they were hidden or like you depend on getting to know that
Yeah,
specific creator and then being exposed to their content. So we wanted to surface them a lot more and curate some of them to show a regular audience, so show corporations and so the type of expertise that lives online and on self-paced courses or sync courses as well. So AI Academy came under that logic of putting the spotlight on these phenomenal people that have been doing this for many, many years and are now charting a new set of knowledge and a whole new batch of content. What's interesting about AI Academy, first, it's free, so anybody can access, and the recordings are going to be available forever, so you can reach out and see the content at your own pace. But the people who are there, they're not, they come from very different backgrounds. So there's people who have been creators forever and are now entering more deeply the AI space. There's people who had very traditional corporate careers and recently made the transition and became full-time creators. There's people who still reconcile a dual career approach and a lifestyle. So I think that's also a big testament that there's no one single answer, one single
yeah,
model that works.
yeah,
And AI Academy, I think, is a big manifesto that we're taking as a company.
yeah. Is it
Now,
for
speaking,
creators?
it's made by our own creators, so
Yeah,
we selected a few, handed out some invites, and they've accepted to host free webinars
yeah,
via Teachable, and then it's distributed to our audience, to their audience, to pretty much anyone who
yeah,
wants to see. Um, and then the second track that we have is community events of our community of Teachable
yeah,
creators, right? So we've invested a lot in customer success in the past year and a half. both success and support, actually. And we've now defined a new journey of recognition where we distribute perks and access to different things depending on the tier of relationship that you have with Teachable. And I think the part of it that gives me more joy is connecting one-on-one with the people and hosting those meetups in different cities. So although Teachable communicates a lot in English and everybody thinks, oh, it's a US platform and so more than 50% of our revenue and volume actually comes from outside of the US. So we're now, we want to show up and be part of the conversation and show that we care about other geographies, other profiles as well, because we do.
Yeah.
And also hear about the different challenges, opportunities, and be really present in that conversation, because I know that organically some people were getting together. I think your community is the epitome of that, a big representation of such pattern. But now we're trying to enter the conversation more formally and also reward you for the good performance and loyalty to the platform.
Is the event only for people who are already on Teachable?
The second track or AI Academy?
The live event.
The live events. Those are for people who are on Teachable. Of course, we always have some special guests that we want to switch over and invite to be part of the community, but usually they're more under the recognition lens.
Yeah. So then the big question, and Yasmin talked about this at our latest event in Amsterdam. Based off like the events that you've done and meeting people in person and like all the data that you guys have, like what are like is there one thing or two things or three things that like successful course creators are doing? I mean, I always say when people ask me what do the most successful creators do differently, or what is the one thing they have that others don't, and I always say a big audience, because if you have a big audience, it's easy to sell. I noticed from Teachable, you guys also have creators or schools who don't have big audiences, right? Maybe they're running ads, maybe they're doing big B2B deals. Anything successful schools have in common?
I think I would answer your question differently than most people do. For me, the biggest pattern that comes to mind is resilience. I think it's really showing up consistently and exploring different opportunities, formats, price points, different ways of going about their business. So it's a lot about adaptation and testing out different things. Something that I observe in successful creators do is at the beginning they expect that they're going to launch something and first they need to have everything ready and they're going to knock it out of the park on the first round. It's very rare that that's the case, very rare. And what tells people apart is really how they adapt to hiccups that they might have, to bumps on the way, to opportunities that appear, and so of course, a big audience helps, but it takes time to build a big audience and to nurture that community. And there are certain niches that don't really need such a big audience, right? They're more on the high ticket spectrum, or as you said, they could be more easily associated with selling B2B, selling certifications or lifetime deals as opposed to a volume play. So I think it's the adaptability and tenacity to understand the space that you're playing in, how you can adapt your offer and make it more plural and sell and adapt that to what do you think is going to work best, really? And I think also selling a lot to the same audience. That's something that usually people overlook. But even people with big audiences, they are not necessarily replenishing that funnel all the time. They're also exploring how to maximize lifetime value of the same audience. So if you have an anchor offer, which is usually how people start, right? Like they have a product that's their bread and butter, usually gets 80 to 90% of their sales. Have you explored a low ticket? Have you explored a follow-up to that bread and butter? Have you explored a high ticket? Have you explored something a little more on the entertaining side of things? So if you're a
Yeah.
language creator, maybe have something more dedicated to people who are going on a travel and don't
Yeah.
really need to learn like the full suite of things, but want to get around.
Yeah.
Or dating techniques on how to like find
Yeah.
friends or
Building an
dating in
ecosystem,
other
definitely.
languages. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I'm sorry for the background noise. I don't know if you're picking that up, but
No, no, I
Brazil's
can't hear.
playing the
We're
World
good.
Cup right now, and people are like screaming, and so
What's the score?
I don't know. I don't want to see.
No worries. Okay, well, let me see. Let's just do. I prepared a few questions here. What actually makes students succeed in? Yeah, I guess one thing I was curious about. I mean, a challenge when selling online courses or when running an online school has always been completion rates. Right?
Right.
Completion rates have always been quite low when selling online courses. Many people take a course and then they don't finish it. I'm just wondering, is what can help creators increase their completion rates and increase conversion rates so that their students can get better results, so that they're going to buy more in the future, right?
Yeah.
Can AI help there? Do we need more customization? Does the community help? What's on your mind?
I think at first I would redefine the concept of completion. For me, especially like completion is not really about getting to the very last second of a 50-hour compendium and then
Yeah,
checking completed. Uh, I would explore much more indicators like satisfaction or how many people referred you to a friend, to a colleague, or did a second purchase and those elements that point to more to impact generation, which might come at a different moments of their learning cycle, right? So I've got conversations with people, with customers, with mentors that a single line like was more impactful than I don't know how many hours of coaching in informal
yeah,
university or
yeah,
so,
yeah,
right? So I think it's about that unlock, which is
yeah,
going to be different from person to person. So for some, it's going to be the ability to travel to Italy and order a cappuccino. For
yeah,
some, it's going to be the ability to talk to their mother-in-law
yeah,
and have the joy in their mother-in-law's face from them making an effort. Uh, so I think I would use AI to explore how people come into your offer, like how did they land there? What's motivating them? How would they mark fulfillment and okay, I've achieved my goal here. And then adapting the offer to cater to those needs, like the most common needs. Obviously, you're not going to be able to do every single one of them, but one concept that I think people usually misunderstand is thinking that you need 50-hour courses or so to deliver impact or to justify a certain price point. You do not. If you're creating value and you're hitting the mark, people will repurchase, people will recommend you. It doesn't need,
yeah.
I think quality is not determined by length anymore, if it ever was.
Yeah.
So more so now than ever, I would definitely think of AI of how to cater these different desired
Mm.
outcomes.
Yeah, that's it, right? We want to be selling outcomes, not content. We
Exactly.
often see people like when they're building sales page, like, yeah, we need to show exactly what's in the course and more, and we offer this and this. We just add more and more and more stuff. Then we can charge more. And we
Yeah.
always say, no, wait, what is the outcome that we're selling, right?
Yeah.
That's often something that we want to cover in a headline as well. Um,
Exactly.
all right, what can we learn from? You're from Hotmart, right? Is that where you worked before? Or well,
Yeah,
technically, yeah, but
Hotmart is
still,
Teachable's parent company, Hotmart
yeah,
Company. And then Hotmart operates in Brazil, Colombia, Mexico, Spain, Iberia, we call it, so Portugal, Spain.
yeah,
And Teachable takes more of the English-speaking markets as well as
yeah.
Western Europe.
So what can we learn from the Brazilians when it comes to marketing? Because I know that online sales or selling online is huge in Brazil. They're probably even more sophisticated than the Americans. Anything that we can learn from them, or what's your
Your
take
words, I
on?
didn't say that. Just kidding. I think. Brazilians or Latinos maybe really portray a lot of this resilience that I was referring to, because especially digital entrepreneurs, and so at times they don't have a lot of opportunities in life. So having a formal career and like a corporate formal trajectory that's linear, and then you can get access higher salaries, and so it's not so obvious for most of the population. So that's how many of them get into entrepreneurship, and that being like their life bet. I think they put it all in, so it's not one shortcome, one hurdle that's going to pause them. And I think that resilience is something that makes them particularly successful in this space. So if anything, that's the main takeaway that I would recommend, back to my earlier point. I feel like Brazilians especially value a lot social media. So when you look into consumption patterns of social media in general, but in YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and so usually Brazil appears either the second highest in consumption or the third. It usually goes US, Mexico, at times India, and then Brazil. We're quite heavy users of internet and social media. And I think that drives some of the market, in the sense that people are always connected and they're not really afraid to show up and make their pitch and sell something. And so, because that's the way things run, right? So be shameless for your dreams, like being afraid of showing yourself out there and not really make your pitch. And so it's not going to take you anywhere. Like you're the only representative of your dream on earth. So go ahead, show your face and pitch that. That's how you're ultimately going to impact people's lives, right?
Yeah. So willpower is the answer.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Giovanna, for sharing all your insights there at Teachable. If people want to learn more about Teachable or about the events that you run, like any call to action for our listeners?
Awesome. We are keeping our social media updated. So both Instagram, YouTube, and also our website now has a little tab called Events, where you can see both of our webinars and also in-person events that we're hosting. But they're always going to be promoted in our socials, so stay tuned. Oh, I forgot to mention LinkedIn. This is also a very important social network for us. So either one of those, we're going to communicate there. But our website and our email marketing is constantly updated. Once more, Ian, thank you so much for the invite. I really love to be here. I love your community. You're phenomenal, Teachable members of the Teachable community. I had the privilege of being with them last week and hope to continue to be part of the crew.
All right, so if you are a listener, you want to join a group, and check out what Giovanna just said, and maybe see you in the future. Giovanna, thanks so much. Now it's time to go watch Brazil play against Japan.
Yes, let's see if we have better luck.